Okay, welcome guys. We're on Bitcoin block 416.476. The difficulty change happens in less than 1,200 blocks. Pretty exciting.
Wow.
So yeah, let's order a half cake or something. Can we buy like a half rack of a chicken or a half rack of ribs? That'd be good. So let's do a barbecue. We got our sponsor, Coinigy. So check out coinigy.com/Blocktalk. It's a great way to support the show. And they have a pretty cool platform that allows you to manage all your crypto assets when they're on exchange. And yeah, without further ado, we have our awesome guest today, Ethan from Tendermint. Yeah. Have anything else or just Tendermint?
These days, just Tendermint. I'm still working closely with the Aris folk, rocking an Aris t-shirt. We like to say at Tendermint that we're building market battle armor. We're basically securing the kind of blockchain applications made by the likes of Aris. And, working on our little crypto farm in this corner of Guelph.
Nice. Yeah, no, Guelph is a hot spot for, I think, technology as well. You got, the whole Tri-Cities too, with like the whole BlackBerry scene that's kind of grown up to what it is now.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it's cool stuff. So I asked a question before, but I'd love to get your interpretation. I hear the word Byzantine being used as a verb a lot. Do you think you can explain what Byzantine means?
Byzantine as a verb. Usually it's used as like an adjective. We'll say something like Byzantine behavior. You don't really run around Byzantining. But basically, the word comes from Leslie Lamport coined it in the I think in the early 80s when he introduced the Byzantine generals problem. In analogy to the problem faced by Byzantine generals as they're trying to coordinate to attack Rome. So you have a bunch of generals from the Byzantine army. They need to agree on a time to attack Rome. They can only communicate via messengers, and one of the generals might be a traitor. He might be working for Rome, and so he might be a liar. And so in this situation, what kind of protocol can the generals use to come to consensus on what time to attack Rome if one of them is a malicious liar? And so now the term Byzantine comes to mean it's a type of fault in a distributed system or in a computer where the computer can behave arbitrarily. So most distributed computing or fault-tolerant distributed computing looks at tolerating crash faults where a computer will crash and maybe it'll come back online. But here, a Byzantine fault is when a process will behave arbitrarily, potentially maliciously, potentially it'll lie.
Okay, so could you say it's like a metaphor for a problem with networking, like computer networking and the way all systems communicate?
Yeah, it's deeper. It's supposed to capture the fact that computers aren't perfect and there are software bugs and, solar flares might cause, bits to flip and all kinds of crazy things can happen. You get struck by a neutrino, who knows. So it does have a practical use case. I mean, the Byzantine fault-tolerant algorithms are used to coordinate microcontrollers on airplanes. That's really one of the first use cases of the technology. Of course, the microcontrollers the microcomputers on an airplane are connected over a very reliable network, like one of the most reliable networks possible, but they're still subject. The computations might be subject to sort of bit rot or to randomized bit flips that they need to use a Byzantine algorithm to protect against.
Now, airline systems, is that something that you're going to use Tendermint on, or is that like what your market is?
No, probably not. I don't think Tendermint. Tendermint was designed for much less reliable networks. So if you can rely on the network that's connected, I mean, we're talking about a network like within a single airplane, right? Connecting multiple computers within one airplane, right? So this is like arguably like one of the most reliable networks on the planet kind of thing. And so a so-called synchronous network where you know that a message is always going to be delivered within some given amount of time, some fixed known amount of time, right? Tendermint was designed for more asynchronous networks where you can't make you don't have such strong guarantees over message delivery. So Tendermint would be far too slow to use on an airplane. But
there's use cases for centralized systems like so Tendermint. You guys are, I guess, what are you hoping to do with your chain? Because I've heard you call yourself a private chain. Of course, now the vernacular has changed to permissioned. to kind of sound more, I guess, open to the Bitcoin public.
Uh-huh.
But you still called it private. So can you explain, I guess, what your private chain is?
Yeah, so I was referring to our positioning, I guess, a few months ago, and when I left Eris so that we could start this Tendermint company. Initially, we were thinking, we'd play in this private blockchain space for a little bit because there's so much demand, and a lot of people want to work with us and want to use our technology because it really is perfect for what they need in the so-called private or permission space. Eris was obviously the first to identify that and adopted Tendermint very early on. But nowadays, basically, we pivoted a little bit. It's become quite clear to us that this private blockchain space is quite stuffy. We don't really want to spend our time building out applications for people. That's not really what's exciting. What's exciting is the core protocols and the public infrastructure, right? Obviously, there's still so many problems with the financial system and various other public systems. The internet in general is practically broken. And so we'd like to work towards solutions that can adequately fix that. And Bitcoin and Ethereum and these others, they have a role, but everyone is still using proof of work, which is enormously inefficient, and there are problems with it in so many ways. And so we've decided that we ought to launch the first proper, secure proof of stake public blockchain. But furthermore, we would like to introduce scalable blockchain, right, which is something that a lot of the other networks have been struggling with. The utter lack of scalability that comes from the fact that every node on the network has to process every single transaction in the same order, right? So we've come up with a relatively simple scheme that utilizes the strengths of the various strengths of the Tendermint consensus algorithm to build a scalable blockchain. And so we have a proposal that is tentatively named Nuclear.
But it's spelled with a G.
Spelled with a G, yeah. It's sort of taking after GNU, like GNU Linux.
Yeah.
GNU, stands for GNU, not Unix. One of these recursive acronyms. So, Tendermint is licensed using the GNU public license, whereas most other blockchain applications out there are either licensed, Apache or MIT or something like this, which has all kinds of implications for what you can do with that kind of code. And so, we're trying to stay true to the sort of open source philosophy and this kind of thing. The name will probably change. We'll see.
Yeah, because I pronounced it on Friday in my interview after he hung up. I said, we got a GNU clear coming down. But then I watched the rap that Chelsea, one of our members at Decentral, she calls herself I'm Miss New GNU. So then I finally got it when she did the introduction. Because I love the idea of Linux. I've tried using it, and you know what? Sometimes my day needs to be slightly more efficient, and I feel like a Macintosh does that a little better. Windows is starting to get to be more of a pain in the ass than convenience. But you guys, you're actually doing some Raspberry Pi systems, aren't you?
Yeah, we're trying to get. We're playing around with Internet of Things tech. We've got a bunch of Raspberry Pis. We're running blockchains on them. We're doing this crazy. We've got chickens in the backyard. We've got 25 of them. Zach here has this overwhelming desire to automate the egg collection and delivery system.
Yeah, so I spoke with
proof of concept
Zach earlier today. Yeah, we checked out the chickens and we waxed for a while about farming. It was we'll definitely have to talk again maybe tomorrow about how the implications of not just in farming and agriculture but in all technology. I spent some time working with was it Cami and Ingersoll, and they're a GM plant. They have the same problems that we do have on the farm when it comes to information and tracking on whether it's a piece of livestock or if it's an automobile that has a warranty program and all these other things. So. I think you guys are kind of in a really good marketplace. We need to move past just money. We got the money app figured out, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. I mean, we have the money app sort of figured out. It's still kind of a pain in the ass, to be frank. I mean, Bitcoin's cool, but it's so flawed.
It's got the mining and the economy figured out. Well, maybe not the mining. It's got the economy figured out. They started first. They had the rules never have changed. So everyone agrees on the 21 million, and
but I mean, sure, but there have been all kinds of bugs. The 21 million wasn't even being enforced a few years ago, right? They realized that was a bug, and they had to fix that. And now they're in this incredibly messy situation where they can't upgrade the protocol. They refuse to attempt to hard fork it because they're too scared. So they're gonna do all these crazy soft forks with segregated witness and all this kind of stuff. And it's fun and it's exciting and it's a very clever hack. And people love being able to hack something in without having to rewrite all their code. But I kind of think Bitcoin's due for a rewrite, so to speak.
We need 1.0 still.
Right.
If you got to, you're short on time here. Just
my family's trying to get a hold of me, so I hope it's not something too important. But,
not as important as Blocktalk, clearly.
Okay, no, I can call them later. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you can take it right now in the air. You're more than welcome to. But
you never know.
No.
They said it's cool.
Okay.
Call later.
All right. So Tendermint, what sort of algorithm are you guys using? Like Bitcoin's proof of work, and there's all of the ideas with that. But I hear you. I heard your name first, I guess, really from Vlad when I interviewed him. He's working on that proof of stake protocol for Ethereum. So you guys agree on something, it sounds like.
Yeah. Back in 2014, Vlad and I had spent a night up. We stayed up in London until like 8 in the morning talking about consensus algorithms, and that was the night that we realized proof of stake could actually work, and that this was a direction that that we need to start moving in. And so basically, ever since that, we've been pretty focused on understanding what that entails and what a secure proof of stake consensus algorithm looks like and what the drawbacks are. The security model is a little bit different from Bitcoin. Vlad these days is working on an algorithm that he's calling Casper, the so-called friendly ghost, because it takes the greedy heaviest object subtree ghost protocol, the extension of proof of work, and sort of applies it to proof of stake. And it's friendly because it's supposed to be able to work with any sort of classic Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus protocol is sort of the idea. But Casper is pretty complicated. They're still iterating over the theory and the design and trying to figure out what works and doing simulations and stuff. Tendermint is a much simpler design. It's sort of in following in the footsteps of previous academic work on Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus protocols. It does so in the sort of blockchain paradigm, which actually gives it a number of optimizations and improvements over previous protocols. And it's also it's a dramatic simplification over the BFT protocols that came before. Like if you look at trying to understand PBFT, the practical Byzantine fault tolerance, versus Tendermint is just so much easier to reason about and to understand, and is actually much more performant in the event of failure. So whereas PBFT can take quite a long time to recover or has significant overhead for dealing with various faults, Tendermint can handle that a lot better. And I actually just defended my master's thesis where I proved that out in a series of experiments that Tendermint can still handle thousands of transactions per second, even in the face of highly adversarial network conditions and Byzantine failures and so on. So.
Okay.
Well, pretty badass.
Yeah. No, man. Like, I'm totally down to check out your masters. Like, I've seen some information online, but like, I still a lot of people privately have asked me after hearing the name. We're just like, oh, what's going on with this? Like, is it launching soon? Like,
as far as the launch, so we. The master's thesis is basically just like a summary of Tendermint and sort of an analysis of the features of the protocol and so on. It's got good narrative, though, if I say so myself. If you're looking for a good read that sort of explains things in depth and puts everything in context,
How many pages is it roughly?
The whole thing is like 100 pages, including figures and references. And
cool. Kind of so you're kind of like an introduction that's...
Yeah, no, the background section is basically what I recommend.
Okay.
It's a quick enough read.
All right.
What were we saying? Yeah, so as far as our public chain, we need... We still have some work to do on the core protocol, on battle hardening it and so on. We'd like to run a security audit and add a few things here and there. So it's going to be at least a few months before Tendermint core is really ready for prime time for production. And then so we could potentially launch a public, like a single proof of stake public chain to bring in all the scalability stuff that we talk about in the nuclear white paper, it'll definitely take a lot longer, maybe a few more months or another 6 months or whatever. I'm not sure really, but it's going to be a matter of we definitely need funding. We currently have no funding. We're just running on whatever our personal savings.
And eggs.
And eggs. Yeah, I eat a lot of eggs. Don't have to go grocery shopping, fortunately, very often.
Yeah, eggs are good for that.
Eggs are good for that. Yeah. Apparently, caloric restriction is really good for you too. Like fasting every couple of days. Apparently, it's a phenomenal thing to do. So I both try to force myself into it by having no food in the house, and by reading about how good it is for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, so we released a white paper maybe a week ago. We're still in a feedback phase, or we're inviting people in the community to come read it and talk to us about it and give us feedback on why it don't ever work or why it's horrible or what they think needs to change and so on. But yeah, the big thing is we'll need to raise some funds, probably some form of crowd sale, and from there then we can start hiring developers and really bring this thing to a production status and hopefully get it out within the next year.
Cool. What was I gonna say? Oh, so you're on Testnet now, or like, are you? Like you said, the public network is launching soon, so you guys are kind of already doing testing. Like, do you like rent servers, or do you like get in touch with someone with a supercomputer?
Yeah. I mean, we don't have like a long running testnet. We should. We'll probably start one in the coming weeks. There are a few fixes we want to make the protocol first, but we also need to practice like upgrading the protocol live. So there's definitely that. In the thesis I run, I do all kinds of experiments where I run test networks on anywhere from 2 to 64 nodes on AWS distributed around the world, and do various performance tests, see how many transactions per second, and then various fault tolerance tests to see how the thing holds up in adversarial conditions. So we've definitely started doing lots of testing, but there's still lots more to do. So.
All right, well, let me know what software I got to run, and I'll definitely throw you guys some hash. It's gonna. I'm cool to support a network in a way that's so much deeper than just throwing money at it. It's just like you can actually contribute hash rate, research power.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's no hash rate to contribute here because it's proof of stake, right?
So can I have some testnet coins or what?
Yeah. We'll send you some testnet coins and you can mess around for sure.
All right. Oh yeah, you guys. So you mentioned a pivot earlier, but you also lost an employee, I guess, or he left, or.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're broke, right? We have no money, quite literally, aside from like some personal savings, and so it was pretty much like, look, Dustin, presumably you're talking about, he was our other co-founder.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have the money to, we're literally not paying ourselves right now. So we're like, look, we just don't have the money to pay you. You're a valuable, skillful guy. I'm sure you can go, make busy somewhere else and sort of be useful to someone else in the meantime until we can bring together the funds to bring you back on board. So, we have a designer too who's been working on some really nice front end stuff for us, like really beautiful UI for managing multiple blockchains or it's a wallet stuff and voting, governance UI and stuff like this. But we also don't have the funds to pay him, so he's off doing some other things until we can get him back.
So you thought about doing like an ICO or like crowdfunding, like
we will be. We're just trying to figure out the details.
All right. Well, I'm in touch with the Bittrex exchange, like Bill and Richie are some of the coolest guys I've met in crypto right now, because the New York license came out and they immediately applied for it. They're like, we're not going to sacrifice anything to lose customers, and you know what? Only Winklevoss twins seem to get the first official New York licensed crypto exchange. It's like, no, that's not how it went down. But they'll totally host your ICO and they'll help you guys do the legal work.
I mean, we're going to host the ICO on Ethereum. That's as far as I'm concerned, probably the most credible and simple way to do it, most secure way to. Just write a smart contract, and if you want in, you'll basically what we're going to do is we'll write some terms of agreement. And you'll have to sign those terms, digitally sign them with a private key, and then publish the signature, send it to this Ethereum contract with however much you're trying to invest or trying to how many of the tokens you're trying to buy.
That's what I loved about the DAO. Like, it's every exchange can run the ICO. It's just like the ICO is software, and then like any exchange can have it, and then they can help out, I guess, the whole process.
So that's messy. I'm not sure how exchanges are participating in these ICOs. Because you're supposed to, you don't have control of the private key when you're using an exchange, right?
Yeah. So they made every individual. yeah, they had to have people trust them, and that's what this whole.
That's cool. We don't want to do that. I mean, I guess if Exchange want to offer that, they can.
They just made it like 3-click easy, or Facebook easy is, I guess, the term you can make. Right? Because there was a lot of ways to participate. There was like, the Ethereum wallet. You could even do it on command line. Like it was however rudimentary you wanted it to be. But I think it's a brilliant way to go, because you know what, the space I feel like is heavy with money, and if you can show that you are developing proper software and maybe have the right partnerships, you guys can definitely get ahead. I can definitely tell just from speaking with Zach earlier. We had I love the chicken setup you guys have out back here. You know what? Tomorrow when the weather's a little better, we'll do a tour of it. I'm going to be Toronto, so we'll do a walk around and show it off. And then you guys, you're welcome to come check it out. Yeah. So if anyone watching at home has any questions, I got the YouTube chat pulled up here. But maybe we can. You actually wrote a rap. I think I tweeted it out. Can we get like maybe one verse of it? Like, what's your favorite part of it, or any rap? You can freestyle if you want to. Yeah, so
freestyle. I was practicing freestyle for a few months ago, and then I kind of fell off. So I got to be in the zone to be freestyle, unfortunately. Which might need a few more ciders, but
we'll get there.
I'm not going to start pounding. I got work to do tonight. Yeah. So the background on this rap, I write lots of parody songs. I've written a bunch of rap songs about Bitcoin, where I just take like some of my favorite rap songs and rewrite the words to be about Bitcoin, or I take classic rock songs and rewrite the words to be about Bitcoin. One of my favorites is 50 Ways to Run a Full Node, based on 50 Ways to Lose Your Lover. It's a beautiful ballad.
Nice.
But anyways, as far as this rap song, this was we were talking about Tendermint at a Bitcoin meetup, Bitcoin SF Bitcoin devs. And at the time, we were still pushing the whole private blockchains thing. And so to kind of break the ice and show everyone that we're still cool, we did a rap about how great Bitcoin is. So it's to Biggie's Juicy. It's got 3 verses.
The beat, or?
I think, no, I can just spit. If you want to put on the instrumental.
Yeah, I'll see. We can probably play her out.
Should I do the whole song, or you just want one verse, or what?
Well, just you know what,
whole song.
Yeah, you do what you need to do.
Oh man.
We'll see if this taps out your internet though. Like, there's a reason why I don't do these podcasts at my house, is because rural internet is broken and I need a mesh net bad. Let's see, Juicy instrumentals. Yeah.
Yeah, this song is dedicated to all the economists who told us we never amount to nothing, to all the people who lived in the buildings we used to hustle in front of. They called the SEC on us, but we was just trying to free money from its corporate beholder. I keep fucking that up. And all the devs in the struggle. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, baby. It was all a dream. I used to read Unix with crypto fiends, salts and nonsense math like you never seen. Write albums on the wall. Every Saturday, hack attack is it a feature or a flaw? I let my trace route till I got no doubt. Pulling pumps and Wi-Fi, listening on private routes way back when I had the private key in my lap and the hash to match. Remember Merkle proofs where inverting is hard? You never thought that crypto would take it this far. Now we in the limelight cause the price is right. Time to get paid, blow up, we're saving world trade. Born sinner, the opposite of a winner. Remember when it cost 10,000 for pizza dinner? Peace to wicked E, Marty, David John, Vinny and Merkle, you know Satoshi's never gone. We're blowing up like you thought we would. Hashing blocks, innovating because we could. It's all good. Yeah. And if you don't know, now you know crypto.
Oh yeah, be a strong female lead. But you got the drums here too, so these are yours.
Yeah, they're my roommates, but I've been playing them.
Nice. And I heard you guys are looking for a roommate too, huh?
Is that right? Are we looking for a roommate?
No.
About that. Zach might be trying to sublet his roommate or something.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. If anyone wants to crash at Zach's place for 2 months, well, we could probably do that arrangement.
You could probably work it out. Yeah.
All right. So I got like an hour to get set up here for the Coinergy show that I do after. This has been a great chat, man. Yeah, and we'll maybe try and do a tour tomorrow. I'm sure you guys will be around. And everyone at home, thanks for tuning in. And we'll See you in the next 1,000 blocks.
Cheers, guys.